Good morning. My name is Dan Bozarth, and today we have our guest is Dane Terry from the University of San Diego. Welcome, Dane. Good morning.
Good morning, Dan.
How are you doing so far?
I'm doing well so far. There's plenty of time for that to change.
Yeah. We got a long day in front of us. So anyway, I open these things up kind of with the same question. And I'm into quotes. I'm really into quotes. I love to research. I kind of collect quotes. So what I want to know is, what is your favorite quote and why?
My most recent favorite quote is a quote from Marcus Aurelius. Marcus Aurelius was a man who was born a slave and became an emperor of Rome. And he's also one of the great Stoic thinkers of history. He's not the originator of Stoicism, but certainly put a good shine on it.
Sure.
The quote is "Memento mori," which means, remember, you will die. And the way that Marcus Aurelius put it was, let that color everything you think and do and say.
Wow.
Well,
that's deep.
Sorry.
That's good.
Let me go back. Go back. Sorry. He said, remember you will die. You could leave this life right now.
Yeah.
Let that color everything you think and do and say. And so you know, but of course our viewers don't know. A couple of years ago, I had a series of life-threatening heart attacks, followed very quickly by a triple bypass. And one of those, an event like that, will definitely shape your life. And so it changed my thinking about a lot of things.
Creates a whole brand new steering wheel.
Yes, it does. I like that steering wheel.
All right. So we've known each other for a really long time. So
we have?
I think so. At least the last 10 minutes. That works. But being a security professional, being in the industry of security, so how did you get in the industry of security? How did you fall into the security industry?
Well, I've always been fascinated by mechanical things. I got my start in the security industry as a security professional, and I didn't originally think of myself as such, by first becoming a locksmith. And I became a locksmith because my dad was a locksmith. And when I expressed some passing interest in what his career was, because I had worked for a number of years as a mechanic, automotive mechanic, and I was just kind of getting tired of it. My dad said, well, I don't know if you should go into locksmithing. I don't really think you have the patience for it. So that did it.
Okay. Challenge accepted.
Yeah, my dad was a genius.
That's good. That's good. So you got into it as a locksmith.
So I started working as a locksmith first with my dad, kind of under his wing, to learn what he knew about being the locksmith at a large school district. Okay. And then went through a number of different occupations under the umbrella of security. For a couple or few of wholesale distributors in our industry. That's everyone who sells security products in our industry has to go through a step of wholesale distribution between them and the manufacturer.
So you worked in that industry?
I worked in that side of it. I worked in contract hardware, which serves the construction industry. I worked for a manufacturer, and of course I worked for Dan Bozarth at Accurate Security Pros.
Enjoyed that time.
And
awesome.
Now I work for the University of San Diego.
That's cool. It's kind of full circle.
Kind
working
of, yeah.
with your dad at schools.
It really has, yeah.
You're back to working at schools. That's really cool.
In my sunset years.
In your sunset years. I don't know about that, like that commercial.
I don't know about that.
Anyway, so tell us how you became an expert in facilities management security. So that's
well,
obviously you started out learning that a little bit, but then now being at University of San Diego, you're more than just a locksmith there.
My title there isn't locksmith. My job title is lock and security lead.
Okay.
Whatever that means. I guess that my focus through working in wholesale distribution and as a security provider in a forward-thinking company like Accurate, it focused me a lot on customers' needs, more maybe than some others that were working in wholesale distribution for sure, because they didn't necessarily serve that channel, that vertical, if you will. So maybe I had the opportunity to learn a little broader palette of tools than some of my contemporaries. I also did some teaching at trade shows, put on some seminars and things like that, and that helped prepare for sure. Being more of a facilities-focused person. I think that just a lot of different experiences in the industry kind of gave me that. I don't have any particular
kind of aligned that expertise.
Yeah.
So okay. So if you sit your kids down and you ask them, what does your dad do for a living? What would they say?
I think they would probably say something like, he makes locks and keys for the university. My kids have their own lives. They're grown. And neither one of them has been the least bit interested in security. It's funny. They might say he plays harmonica.
Well, that's awesome. Yeah, we're going to talk about
because that's something that I'm obsessed about. But
absolutely,
I don't think that they have much of a concept. They just don't have any interest.
Okay, cool. So we're going to get into some other stuff, but I got one more kind of security related question. If you had $1 million to spend on security without any red tape, because we both know that every operation of security that we've ever done in our life has a certain amount of red tape with it, what would you do? How would you secure your university?
Well,
that's a deep subject. Okay.
I would use that $1 million to campaign for more money, because as you and I both know, it's going to take a lot more than that to finish the job that we started. But I will answer the question in a slightly different way. When I first started 5 years ago with the University of San Diego, almost immediately the assistant vice president of facilities management put together a committee to determine what their greatest security need was. I think that she already knew the answer, but when you're in an environment like that, you get a consensus and make sure that you've answered all the questions that everyone is going to have in the university, and address all the issues and needs that everyone has. So it was determined that since the university had something like 5 or 6, maybe 7 different electronic solutions currently playing against one another, and other electronic issues to address, or needs to address, I'll say, that they needed a very comprehensive solution and something that could be used to replace all of the disparate parts of the puzzle and pull them all together under a cohesive umbrella. And because of that, two decisions were made at that time.
Okay.
The first one was that the university had decided that they wanted to utilize Salto access control for the card access system and focus on MyFair DeskFire as the security token because of the strong encryption and the very broad range of applications. As you know, MyFair DeskFire can work as an access card. You can put apps on the card so that you can use it with auxiliary services. It's very big in public transportation. There's a lot of memory on the card, so the card can be used for more and can be used more securely than your average proximity type card.
Sure.
Also, since Salto is a card on data system, here I am getting in the weeds. I
know. That's okay.
Because Salto is a data on card system, you need a card with some memory on it in order to be able to handle that.
Right.
And the second part of the decision was that Accurate Security Pros would be the university's provider to implement that system and get it installed. And so far, it's proved to be a very good pair of decisions.
Awesome. Well, thank you. All right, so now we're going to get into fun things, and we're going to go deep into different.
Careful.
Be careful. So tell us something that people may not know about you. Tell us something that folks just don't know about Dane Terry.
I'll tell you two things.
Oh, good. We get a bonus.
You may know both of these things about me, but these other people don't know anything about me.
Hello, other people.
I have a problem with authority.
Okay.
That's the first thing. And the second thing is that I'm an introvert. And realizing that I'm an introvert has caused me to be sure to recharge my batteries in solitude every day, no matter what it takes. I always try to find a little bit of time when I can have that peace and quiet and it just doesn't work any other way.
Very good answer. That's awesome. So next question. I want your best tip on how to make the world better. It's kind of like, this is, now you put on the sash, Miss America, and that's one of the standard questions that they ask them. But, I thought it would be a good question. And so how would you make the world a better place?
Well, like you, I love quotes because they help keep me focused. One of my favorites is, we don't see the world as it is. We don't see things as they are. Sorry, you have to get the quotes right if you're going to quote.
It's okay.
We don't see things as they are. We see things as we are.
Okay.
That's a quote that Anais Nin used, that Stephen Covey used. It's from the Talmud. It's that old.
Wow.
It's old. It's ancient wisdom.
Wow.
We don't see things as they are. We see them as we are. And I really believe that if everyone knew and believed that and understood it, that they, like Stephen Covey taught, would seek first to understand. And I think that would cause a profound shift.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Seems like politically and socially we're becoming more divided rather than more united.
Yeah.
And I think that
and that's
not seeing things as they are is at the root of that.
I love that quote from Stephen Covey. Seek first to understand and then to be understood. It's you can think on that in a lot of different ways, and it's pretty powerful.
Yeah.
So, all right, we're going to move on to something else. What do you feel the best lesson that you have learned in life is, and why, and where did that lesson come from?
Well, Dan, you know me. I have to learn lessons all the time. I have to learn lessons daily. Not because I'm hungry, but because I'm thick. And I need reminders.
Okay.
I need to be, and that's why I carry around quotes in my head. So one of the best ones that I didn't even realize how deep it ran was attitude is everything.
Mm-hmm.
Everything. And Bill Power taught me that.
Power you.
Bill Power was a mentor of mine many years ago.
And mine.
Yes, yeah, he stepped into that role for a lot of folks.
Yeah.
And what it meant then was, Bill was a sales manager and sales trainer, and so it helped keep people. What it did for me at the time was it buoyed me up, and it reinforced my drive and improved my spirit and outlook. So, but what it has come to be tied into for me now is another one of those phrases that I remember a lot, which is the obstacle is the path.
Okay.
And it kind of and how that ties in, it may not seem to tie in at first glance, but what's his name? France. What we can control is how we respond to things. That's about the only thing we control.
Sure.
Stoics believe that you don't have control over what other people do.
Right.
You don't have control over fate.
Yourself, yeah.
You don't have control over the world. You just have control over how you walk through the world. And that's attitude is everything.
Attitude is everything. Okay. I like that one too. So, I know that you're a musician. I've been to several of your concerts, your gigs, stuff like that. If they don't know it out there, I'm telling you now, he is an incredible musician. I've seen different iterations of his shows and things that he's done with music. I have never, ever in my life had figured out how someone could create a band with a tuba in it. Until I met Dane
Tubas
Terry
are great in a band.
and heard that. So that's often awesome. So
how can you not have a bass instrument? You have to have a bass instrument, and tubas are the hippest bass instrument there is, man.
It is awesome. So I want you to talk a little bit about your passion for music and why it's your passion, and just tell us a little bit about how that affects your professional life and your personal life.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a big
Well,
question.
the first rule is you don't talk about Fight Club. No.
Okay. Okay. That
no.
went a little dark.
Sorry.
Okay.
Sometime I'll give you the whole backstory of that.
Watch the movie Fight Club.
Right.
Okay. All right.
I'm very, very fortunate. My musical life is a lot like my professional life in that I have been extremely fortunate to just fall into relationships with extremely good musicians, just like the professional people who I've been just stumbled into relationships with and have no idea why they want to have anything to do with me, but they do, and I get to play with them and work with them. And so I've been in a jazz band, I play in a bluegrass band, I lead my own blues band, and those all probably sound like very different kinds of music. But what they all have at their core, and what attracts me to them, and where the magic is for me with that kind of music, is the fact that they're all improvisational. Every one of those styles rotates, just centers on improvisation. You wouldn't think that bluegrass does, but it really does. Those solos that you hear bluegrass players do, that's all off the cuff.
Wow.
That's coming out of their heads.
Wow.
So
Cool.
they're all, although jazz is a form of music that's heavily influenced by European music, even though it was born out of blues music and out of the African American experience, it's modern jazz is very technical, but it's still also very improvisational, and all three of those forms of music have a very strong oral tradition.
Yeah.
The thing about improvisational music is musicians say if a musician wants to compliment another musician and how he plays in an improvisational environment, they'll say he's got big ears because he's listening. There in a jazz band, especially, but also in a blues band and also in a bluegrass band, but particularly in a jazz band, there's this telepathy happening. I've played with drummers that knew that I was going to do something to change the form or to do a break or something as soon as I did, before I played it, so that they weren't late. I don't know how they do that, but they do. And other players that I get to play with, they just sense things, and
Sure.
that makes I don't have any other experiences where your teammates are telepathic in the moment like that.
Yeah.
I never played
That's a good way to
sports,
think about it.
so I'm sure that on a football team or any kind of a team experience,
Right.
there is that going on.
So what's your favorite type? What's your favorite music that you play? You lean towards a certain.
See, you think I'm going to say a style of music or an artist's music, and I'm not going to say that. My favorite kind of music is improvisational, heartfelt, spiritual, soulful,
Nice.
hip music, and that can be anything. One of the members of the bluegrass band that I play in is a big time Deadhead. So we'll go off sometimes on jams in a bluegrass band, that are more jam band kind of thing. I mean, just anything to get that tension and release going.
Awesome. Very cool. I've got 3 more questions for you. So we're rolling down to the end of this here a little bit. I'll go a simple one first. When you were a kid, what did you want to be when you grew up?
An encyclopedia.
Okay.
I somehow got this idea that there must be a job somewhere where somebody could be an answer man, like a librarian that knows the content of every book in her library, right? Or his library. And that was the person I wanted to be. I wanted to know all the answers and be able to share them at any time. Of course, Now, this was before Google and the internet, so nobody needs anybody like that now because Google is so much better. But that's what I wanted to be.
That's awesome, and that's the oddest answer I think I've ever got.
Oh, good.
That's cool. Okay, so this next one is kind of a big one. Tell us about a time when you got advice that absolutely changed your life, and why.
Well, I don't remember having that thunderclap feeling about advice, other than Power You.
Okay.
There were a couple of times there that was probably the most stressful 2 weeks of my life. For one thing, my son was born.
Oh wow. Okay.
During that, or had just been born, and you know how much that will shape your life.
Yes, sir.
That was one thing. For another thing, I was turning a corner on my career, and Bill was a tough teacher, and he knew how to get the best out of people, and he knew that sometimes there was pain involved, and I was working very hard against myself.
Yeah.
And willingly, trying to overcome myself, and so it was emotionally stressful for me. Maybe not for some of the other people. I think that they were more naturals, and I think maybe I wasn't a natural.
You took it to heart. I mean, I know we've had lots of conversations. With Bill Power, without Bill Power, about Bill Power. Bill Power, if you ever get to watch this, thumbs up to you, sir. Power You was something pretty special.
Yeah. So back to that attitude is everything, and then how that ended up playing into my life when I went through my little near-death experience. Mm-hmm. So that advice did shape my life, although the changes that it made have continued to echo down my life.
Ah, okay.
And yeah.
Very cool. All right, so I end these with the same question, and so because this is about business, entrepreneurship, your music, stuff like that is an entrepreneurship for you, and security. We talked a lot about security because you are a security professional, but the question that I end with is, what does security mean to you, and why? And that'll be our last question.
I wish I had my notes.
I wrote a wonderful thing about that. Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah. One of the things that I wrote was peace of mind. I think that the challenges that people have in order to feel safe, secure, protected, strong, in control. I think that's a pretty big laundry list of needs that security professionals have to address. But not only those, because as you taught me, security professionals also have to worry about things like life safety. And as my dad taught me, security professionals also have to worry about things like convenience, especially in a campus environment, but also in any environment where you need to apply security solutions. So I'll leave you with this. Well, I won't leave you, but I mean,
That's okay.
I'll top that answer off with this. My dad, when I first started working with him as a locksmith, was trying to give me the 10,000-foot understanding of what security is. And so he said, it's like this. Absolute security is there's a lock on every door and nobody gets a key. Absolute convenience is there's no locks on any doors and nobody needs a key. Now, figure out how to balance that out. Figure out how to compromise it.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
The answer. Well, thank you, Dane. I appreciate that you're here. And so next month, every time I hit this thing at the end, I'm sorry. Anyway, next month we have Holly Christensen from Intermountain Lock and Supply. That's going to be our podcast for next month. I hope you enjoyed today's conversation. This is Dan Bozarth. Have a great and accurate day.
Thank you, Dan.
I can't afford to pay my rent for the price of gasoline.